Hey friends, so I'm making this video with the intention for Jason Breshears to watch it, but I'm putting it out there for the whole world to see in case you find it interesting as well. This is in response to the video he put out last night about navigating the construct, one of my favorite topics. It's on his Archaix YouTube channel, one of my favorite YouTube channels. I'm actually going to be on his channel next month for an interview with him, and I'm super excited about that. So, what's up, Jace? Anyways, I just wanted to interject a little caveat because I agreed with everything you said, and guys, go watch the video in its entirety, but let me summarize it real quick. He talks about how our reality essentially has two cycles. We have a waking cycle and a sleeping cycle, and that the system won't just instantly manifest, and you practically can't manifest something in the same cycle. That the sleep cycle is super important because that's when the system does a lot of its heavy lifting and starts stitching together different timelines and creating new, reality tunnels and doing a lot of the new rendering, okay? And that makes sense because if we could just instantly manifest, it would be a lot like that Free Guy movie with Ryan Reynolds where it's like Grand Theft Auto on steroids. I mean, it would just be anarchy if everyone could instantly manifest. So like Einstein said, synchronicity is the universe's way of maintaining anonymity. And I love that quote because that's what we see. We see a delay. And I really do believe that. I have demonstrated it many times and I talk about it a lot. The fact that Jason's talking about sleep, our sleep cycle being the delay is super fascinating. And I completely agree with that. Even Napoleon Hill 100 years ago talked about the importance of autosuggestion right before you go to sleep because that's when the really good manifestation magic happens. So this is a concept that's not new, and Jason did a great way of breaking it down and explaining it. And I 100% agree. Here's the caveat. So he does accurately talk about the REM sleep cycle, and that's really where you step across the partition from the waking cycle and sleep cycle and are able to, really be in that other hemisphere of reality where you're in like the back end of the simulation and you can do all the editing and tweaking. That's true. Now, here's the caveat. You don't have to be asleep for that to happen. Now, if you're a master meditator, very good at meditating, you can drop into a meditative state. You can get into those alpha and beta and really deep theta brainwave states that you need to get into to do that. But there's a better way. There's an easier way. People that know me know exactly what I'm about to say. Hemi-sync technology. Now, I've been talking about Hemi-sync technology for years. It's saved and changed my life. I've trained at the Monroe Institute. A big proponent of this. This is not a sales thing at all. I wanted you to understand or just be introduced to the power of the Hemi-sync technology and the binaural beats, and the fact that you can, in a waking state, we call it mind awake, body asleep. Your body's out, but your mind is awake. You're lucid, completely conscious. But you have one foot in this world and one foot in the other world. You are in between both cycles. You are the partition at that point, and you can consciously navigate the construct on the back end. You can change code. You can do what we call patterning, where you're basically creating new patterns. You talk a lot about, Jason, about breaking pattern and how powerful it is, and it is because this is a system, and not that we're in a control system per se, we're in an energy conservation system. Everything wants to conserve energy. There's 8 billion of us. That's a lot to manage. So the more subconscious programming that you can have with people where they're just doing the same stuff all the time, the less the system has to try to herd cats and wrangle people. It just knows, it's predictive. It knows what people are going to do because people are very easy to predict. They really are. But like you talk about, Jason, the errants, ooh, that's where it gets fun and spicy. If you can break pattern enough, then the system at first will try to corral you, but eventually it gets tired because it's expending more energy trying to corral you. When you send that clear message, hey, you can't corral my ass, quit trying, then the system is all about conserving energy. And every once in a while, it gets an errant, it gets one of our crazy people, and it just says, you know what, screw it, I'm tired of chasing you, I'm spending more energy chasing you than I'm trying to save, and it just lets you go. And that's when the fun happens. So I loved what you talked about in your video last night about breaking pattern because it's a very important part. I do it all the time. I teach people to do it all the time. Do spontaneous, erratic things. Not like a maniac, but like have fun with life. Get out of the pre-programmed subconscious, little loops that we do and just be free, and that really does enhance your manifestation powers because then you're out of the reach of the system for the most part. I mean, we're always in this this simulator, but you're out of the control part. You're in the outside realms where you can have more fun. Now, going back to the the way that we can edit our reality in the waking cycle. You were talking about how basically there has to be a delay, and there does. You can't instantly manifest. I'm not saying that even with Hemi-sync, even the most disciplined meditator in the world can't just instantly make an apple appear in his hand. But here's just an analogy I can use. Say you were trying to manifest an apple in your hand, even using Hemi-sync, even using, say a 30-year trained Buddhist monk, he couldn't manifest an apple directly in his hand. What he could do is you manifest that apple in your hand. And then what happens is you walk around for a few minutes, there's still no apple in your hand, but then you turn a corner and there just happens to be this lady with a cart, and she's like, free apples, had too many apples in my orchard this morning, so I'm giving away free apples. And she just hands one to you without you even really asking. And next thing you know, you look down and you're like, there's a freaking apple in my hand. What are the odds of that? That's the anonymity part. That's the synchronicity. So we chalk that up to synchronicity. We're like, oh, well, I didn't actually manifest an apple in my hand. There just happened to be this lady giving away free apples, and she just kind of put it in my hand. Well, that's the way it works. that's basically as close as we can get to instant manifestation. But you can do that in a waking state. But you do have to be tapped into that REM, that deep theta brainwave state. That's really hard to get to without the help of like Hemi-sync technology, because it just gets you there quickly and effortlessly. And it allows you, since you are fully a conscious and lucid, it allows you to navigate the construct in a more coherent way, as opposed to some of the other methods where you're a little out of it and dazed. You are completely lucid and you go into the back end. Imagine like you're playing like a video game like Grand Theft Auto, and the guy playing the game, the character in the game, can like go into the back end and make edits and changes and hacks to the code that instantly like display on the screen. Like all of a sudden he's 20 feet tall and he's like, yeah, I did it. Like that he has the ability to change the code in the game that he's in. That's essentially what we're doing here, because we are in a simulator and there is code. I mean, this is a mathematical construct, and you can change it, and you can change it in your sleeping state. So if you're not into Hemi-sync, if you're not into meditation, don't feel like you have to do that at all, because the autosuggestion at nighttime, right before you go to bed, the using the law of assumption and putting your prompts into the system right before bed is very powerful, because in that sleep cycle is when the system renders new reality tunnels. And it is when it stitches together timelines and does the super heavy lifting that it couldn't do in the waking state. That absolutely is the case. I just wanted to interject this one little caveat that you don't have to be asleep. There are ways to do the same thing in that REM stage while you're awake. My preferred method is Hemi-sync that I learned at the Monroe Institute. And maybe when I'm on your show next month, we can chat more about that. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about all this. And as always, have a beautiful day. Peace.